There are 5 books that fundamentally changed the entire course of my life. Now, at this point of filming this video right now, I'm 29 years old. I live in this penthouse style apartment in Medellin, Colombia. I make way more money than the average person. I'm way more fit than the average person. And truly, my quality of life is definitely in the top 1% of the world, if not higher. And I don't say any of this to brag. I'm here to tell you this because there were 5 specific books that I read in my early 20s that completely changed the direction of my life, that completely changed the way my life has turned out. And I genuinely don't think I would be here today filming this video if it was not for these 5 books. So I'm going to tell you exactly what the books are, but don't just download the books, and just pretend to read them and go through them quickly. No, I want you to understand why these books were so effective, and I want you to understand why and how to apply them more importantly, right? So I'll start with the first one. The very first book that changed my life was called Total Recall by Arnold Schwarzenegger. It is literally a full book that explains his entire life biography, right? From the point of him being a child in Austria all the way to his highest point of becoming a bodybuilding champion, to going into politics, to becoming governor of California, to becoming a Hollywood star, all of that. And this entire book shows you the hero's journey. This is one of the most inspiring books I've ever read because it made me realize that you have to take big risks in life, especially when you're younger, to go and achieve your dreams. Arnold left Austria at such a young age. It was basically a broken country at the time, for a lack of better words, and he tried to go and find a better opportunity for himself in America. And it made me realize one of the biggest lessons I took away from this is that I had to leave my hometown. I knew that if I wanted to become who I wanted to be, I needed to change my environment. I needed to put myself in a whole new world. And one of the reasons I'm actually here in Medellin, Colombia right now, 4 years I've been here, is because of this book. He made me realize that leaving my hometown was one of the biggest things I had to do to change my identity to become who I wanted to be. The second book that changed my life was called Total Ownership by Jocko Willink. This book literally teaches you that everything that happens to you is your fault. If you step outside and get struck by lightning, it's your fault for being there at that time, right? And the reason I love this book so much is because it actually frees you. Because now everything that you have in your life, the amalgamation of everything you acquired in your life, the money you make, the body you have, the friends you keep, all of this is 100% your fault. And you know what that allows you to feel? It allows you to feel control, right? You can change your circumstances if you take full responsibility. Don't let anyone else take responsibility for your life, because the moment you let someone else take responsibility for your life is the moment you give control to somebody else. Don't do that. Everything is your fault. And the sooner you can adopt this mentality, the sooner you can just realize that everything is in my control and I can control and I can focus on the things that are really in my control, then you will live a life much better. And trust me, it'll allow you to make way more money this way, because you know that you are in control of making more money. You are in control of having a better body. You are in control of improving the quality of your life. Now, the third book that really changed my life, and probably this is the most important one ever for me personally, was called You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. It's actually an audiobook, and it was a seminar that he hosted in Toronto in the early 1980s, if I remember correctly. And this is truly about the power of the mind, the power of how to use the universe to your advantage, how to set intentions and allow the universe to bring it to you. I'm telling you right now, if you can apply the lessons that you learn from this seminar in this audiobook, it will change everything. One of the biggest things I ever learned from this book was the idea of a goal card. To write your goals out on a cue card and write them in the present tense as if you have already achieved them. And always carry that goal card with you. Whenever you're at a stop or you have a break, open the cue card and read it. Read your goals. I did this, and I'm telling you, every single goal I set out for myself, I achieved. At one point I said, I want to make $10,000 a month. I want to have, I want to weigh 185 pounds and have less than 15% body fat. I want to be able to do this. I want to be everything. I wrote it out in the present tense. I didn't even say I want to. I said I have, right? I am making $10,000 a month. I am 185 pounds with 13% body fat. I wrote all of these things down. And I achieved them. And I achieved them so much faster than I thought I would. It's because you're literally programming your subconscious mind to believe you already are that person. And when your subconscious mind believes you are a certain way, it will start to attract things of a like nature to make you that way. I can't even explain it as well as the book. That's why you have to read this book, or rather listen to the audiobook. And I'm telling you, it will change everything. But you have to go all in, right? You can't just say, oh, I'm going to listen a little bit here. Follow what he says, and this will reprogram. I'm telling you, I was 23 years old, crying on the phone to my dad, telling him I couldn't be an entrepreneur because it's too hard and it's not working out for me. I then read this book. This book alone is probably the reason I am here where I am today, right? It changed the way I thought. It changed the way, it literally allowed me to achieve my goals at the fastest rate. The next book, now this is a book I want you to read with a lot of caution. This is actually the first book I actually read start to finish on my own that wasn't a book that was like assigned from school or a comic book or anything like that. And this book is called The 48 Laws of Power. I read this book when I was 19 years old. And I'm telling you right now, this book is great, but you need to read it with a certain lens. And what I mean by that is, I don't want you to read this entire book thinking, I need to do this, I need to do every single thing this book says, because there's a lot of dark laws in this book. For example, there's a law in this book that literally says, get others to do all the work for you and take all the credit. I don't believe in that. Right? But the purpose of this book is that it gives you the 48 laws that are required to achieve the highest level of power. I'm not saying to use all of these laws. In fact, I resent some of these laws. But as long as you're aware of these laws, you can use them to your advantage, and you can be aware if someone else is using it against you. And it made me so aware of, oh, look at all these people who are taking advantage of me. And I was able to cut off a lot of bad ties, a lot of bad friends in my life. I realized they were using these manipulation tactics on me. Bam, cut them out instantly. I realized that in business, I had clients who were not so good to me. Bam, cut them out, easily done. And it allowed me to improve the quality of my life. Now, there was one law that completely changed my life from this book. And the law said, act like a king to be treated like one. And the chapter in that book said that the best kings in history are the ones who crown themselves. And that really opened my mind, is that you can't wait for the world to give you validation. You can't wait for the world to say, okay, now you're a king. No. You make that decision. You wear that crown on your head. You act a certain way, and I'm telling you, the world will just bend to your will, right? You show the world who you are. You show the world your expertise, the world will come back and really, literally repay you in full. The world is very much like a boomerang, right? When you throw out a certain kind of energy, it's reciprocated back at you. If you can genuinely show that you are someone of high value, someone of high intelligence, someone who can help others, someone who is deserving of a lot of money, the universe and the world just brings it back to you. So I highly encourage you to read that book. And again, read it with a grain of salt. There's some amazing laws in that book. There's some very dark ones. The dark ones, be aware of. The great ones, follow to the fullest. And the last book that completely changed my life was called The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. Now, this book was amazing. In the very first chapter of this book, he gives an example of how there were two real estate agents who were doing the exact same activities every day. They were making the same number of calls. They were doing the exact same activities to get more clients for their business and make money. And he said by the end of the time period, when they tallied the results, the second real estate agent, even though he did the exact same amount of work, made so much more money than the first real estate agent. And he said, do you know why that is? He said, because the second real estate agent was thinking big. Look, at the end of the day, whether you want to be extremely rich or you want to be average, it's the same amount of work. So why not just think big? It's an equal amount of work to be average than it is to be great. So just become great. So I'm telling you to do the same. Think big. You know, I was watching an episode of Shark Tank once, and Robert Herjavec said, you know, my biggest regret in my early 20s is that I just didn't think big enough. And I encourage you to do the same. Think big, because it's the same amount of work. And now, like I said, I'm filming this video today in my apartment here in Medellin, Colombia. I am living a life that I could only have dreamed of just a few years ago. And it was these books right here were the foundational pillars that allowed me to get to where I want to go. So I encourage you to read these books, and more importantly, apply what you learn. You are ever becoming. Remember this, Shakespeare had it wrong. It is not to be is what to be. It is who am I becoming, right? You are an ever evolving person. You can change your identity. And the more you educate yourself, the more you read books, the more you evolve, the faster you will grow. Remember, you have full control of who you want to be in this world. It's only up to you to decide and to act. And that's it for today. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.